Welcome back to the Breakfast Leadership Show. It's Michael here, and I've got a great guest today, and we're going to talk about breath work, which is one of those things where I think a lot of you may have heard about it, but you may not understand it completely. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. My name is Anisa Elamin. I did develop the Yin Yang energy, which is a balance of inspirational leadership through comprehensive work-life harmony and mindfulness-based yoga practice, breath work, and meditation. And that's considered a Yin energy. While the information technology, the technical aspects such as business intelligence, data analytics, as well as business development, is considered as a yang energy. I'm very excited to have me here and speak about the importance of breath work to minimize the risk of burnout and enhance mindfulness, leadership through emotional intelligence. Thanks, Michael.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, because as somebody that grew up with asthma, breathing is one of those things that a lot of people I think take for granted, and every breath to me was very important. But obviously, fast forward now to my adult life, thankfully that is no longer really a big concern of mine anymore. But the breathing component of it, and breathing right, and using it to really get centered is something that I think a lot of people would benefit, well, everybody would benefit from it. But as we talked about a little bit in the pre-show, it just seems like right now it is a very stressful time for all kinds of people. It doesn't matter where you are, what country you're in, the way of life. It has been a really challenging period of time over especially the last 5 years, if not longer, depending on where you are. So why don't you, give us some insights on what actually breath work is, how it's practiced, and some key ways that people can use it.
Thanks, Michael. I agree with you. No one can live for more than a few minutes without breathing, but many people are unaware of the importance of the breath work properly. Weak mental and physical breath habits means that many of us may use a fraction of our potential respiratory capacity. We derive our energy from the food that we eat. The cells in our body break down those chemicals in the food into simpler elements, releasing the energy and produce water and carbon dioxide as waste product. This process called the metabolism, which require oxygen. When we inhale, the air fills our lungs and oxygen is absorbed into our bloodstream. At the same time, the waste, which is the carbon dioxide, passes from the blood into the lungs to be exhaled. Now, the oxygen-rich blood return to the heart and then pumped to all the parts of the body to be used in the metabolism. The oxygen is transported into the blood by the red blood cells. These red blood cells contain protein, which is called the hemoglobin, and which is united with oxygen and carried in the bloodstream to the parts of the body where it's needed. Then the oxygen is needed to be released so the body cells can be used. I guess you've heard, Michael, about people who have high and low metabolism, and that impact the weight management, stress management, mental health management, and spiritual health management.
And we have a lot of people, and having worked in primary care for almost 15 years, I saw people that were, definitely low metabolism, and they had, you know, a lot of comorbidities. They not only did they have diabetes, but they had hypertension, they had high blood pressure, they had just a whole cocktail of things. And in that type of situation, and then of course you're stressed because you're not feeling well. And if you're not feeling well, you're in all likelihood not breathing well. But if you had poor breathing habits before, it's this vicious cycle that just seems to keep people in this horrible spin. And I think that, and this is one of those things where I really wish that you know medical doctors would start, focusing a little bit more on the natural side of things and not the pill-based side of things, because our bodies, quite frankly, do a really good job, if you're properly doing it, of healing themselves. Your body is this mechanism that we have, that we walk around with every day, is just an absolutely amazing and dynamic system that has the ability to, take care of itself. But unfortunately, based on the foods we eat, what we intake, from information, the air we breathe, all of these things do take a toll on us if we're not aware of what we're doing.
Right.
So that's why it's so important for people to learn, well, quite frankly, how to breathe right. And when they do that, the health benefits of it, obviously are there, but the mental health aspects of it as well, because when the blood's pumping and all that kind of good stuff, it also is, working with your brain as well, and making sure that your brain stays healthy. And if your brain stays healthy, then that reduces all the different things that we experience with brains. I'm sure there's going to be studies, if they're not already, about properly breathing, and how it could be a determinant for prevention of dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, so there are the importance of the breath work has different aspects, so such as the mental aspects, the energy, the prana aspect, the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect. So if I want to emphasize, like if I want to just talk a high level on each of the aspects. So from the mental aspects, the brain cells have high rate of metabolism. So the brain requires much more oxygen relatively than any other organs in our body. The common remedy for stress is to take a deep breath to supply the brain with sufficient oxygen, as is greatest tool in stress management. The proper breath will supply the quality amount of the oxygen to the brain. Now, a lack of oxygen means a loss of mental balance, a loss of concentration, a loss of control of emotions. So this is one of the significant impact on the importance of the breath work, which is the mental aspect. The second aspect is the prana. Prana means life force or universal energy that flows in and out in our body. When we perform breath work on a regular basis, we can learn to control our energy within the body and ultimately gain full control over our mind. Then the prana, which is the universal energy or the life force, when consciously controlled, it's a powerful way to direct and control your energy, which can be redirected for self-development, for healing self from diseases, and for healing others. The third aspect, importance of the breath work, which is the spiritual. Breath work can also have a spiritual practice that allow you to move you beyond the mind and the body and helps you to connect with your inner self. Not sure if you heard about the term chakras, but the chakras, it acts like a telephone exchange. With many wires leading in and out, the chakra represent the vibration in our body through the breath exercise or the pranayama. Then the body increase the level of the vibration. Now, the last major impact of the breath work on the physical aspect, which is very important to learn, the proper breath requires three movements. First is the diaphragm causes the abdominal expand, which fill the lower part of the lungs. The second is the intercostal muscles, which expand the rib cage and fill the middle part of the lungs. Finally, the collarbone, which bring the air into the top part of the lungs. Now, most people breathe using only the top part of the lungs, which is the collarbone's lift, and they leave behind the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm areas. which put the body in a starving state for essential oxygen while preventing the complete elimination of the carbon dioxide and the waste products. So overall, to speak about the breath, or in general, the pranayama or breath control, all the terms is the same. It seems as an important link between our physical and the mental aspects, as well as the other aspect, but the major aspect is the mental and the physical, where the breath cleans and strengthening the physical part of your body, and the breath's most important benefits to your mind, where it stays calm, steady, and clear. And that will enable the person to prevent injuries, as well as to heal from chronic illnesses or diseases.
It's amazing work that you're doing, and what's again important, everything that you've just talked about over the last couple of minutes. You don't have to go to the store to buy anything to do this. You have it already. It's within your body, and it doesn't surprise me that people are not using their full capacity to breathe. That's why whenever you have any type of exercise where and I've done this in conferences that I've spoke at, and of course I've been a part of events that have done this as well. It's like, okay, we're gonna kind of refresh. Everybody stand up. Okay, we're gonna take 3 or 4 deep breaths, and it helps regulate our bodies. We just naturally feel better. We feel more present. We feel more alert. Um, and this is without coffee or caffeine or any other stimulant that is temporary in nature. It's just we it makes you feel better. And again, it's one of those things where you can do this anywhere. And I think that's so important for people to remember is it's like, well, I can only do this in the morning or at night. No, you can do it, as you're waiting, to walk into your office, or you're sitting in your car. No, don't close your eyes while you're driving, please. I mean, don't do that. And be focused. It's like, don't, if when you're driving, focus on your driving, please. But there's so many other places where you can just take a deep breath and breathe, do the proper breath work, and you'll feel better in that moment. And once you make it a habit and a routine where you just naturally do this, and you make it part of your routine, like you do for getting cleaned up or brushing your teeth or any other habits that we have, you will feel better. And when your body is getting the right amount of oxygen and it's moving things around and your blood is healthier, then your body is going to obviously benefit from that, which means you get better cognitive abilities, which means you're able to be a little bit more clear-minded in making decisions or reacting to situations. It helps keep stress regulated, because with burnout, you have to have prolonged stress. And burnout happens when people aren't addressing their stress. And too many people are just too fatigued to do that. And quite frankly, you breathe well, you get good sleep. And again, that's another benefit of this is when your body is healing itself and you feel better, guess what? Your the quality of your sleep is going to improve. And if you sleep well, you you have a really good chance that you're not going to encounter burnout, because you're resting well, you're breathing well, you're feeling well. You get those things right. And again, none of these things are requiring you to go to the pharmacy and buy anything or order this device or anything like that. It's already within you. So it's critically important for you to really get your hands and your mindset around this. So let's segue a little bit. I want to talk about how to couple the breath work with mindfulness, because as we've talked about before, a lot of times people think that those are the same thing, which they're not. But how do you leverage both of them to get a better quality of life?
Yes, so study shows that mindful breath techniques activate the amygdala, which is the emotional regulation center of our brain. and thus reduce the negative emotions and stimulate positive changes in our mood and cognition. So the more you breath, the better you breath, and any time, the better that you were gonna have high emotional intelligence. So breathing is one of the most accessible tools to practice mindfulness. The mind can be busy place and focus on different type of breath techniques would enable the mind to use that tool to focus on rather than fluctuating your thoughts. So then the benefits from the practice can start immediately when you start to do the breath, like within minutes of starting. These practices in a very short uh, would enable the person to be more transform to transform the different aspects, as we've said, the mental aspects, the prana aspect, the spiritual, as well as the physical aspects. The breath work is a fantastic entry point to helps with meditation, which is part of mindfulness as well, giving us the tool to cultivate both the mindfulness, to cultivate the resilience, to cultivate the gratitude. If you enjoy conscious breath, the breath work can be a stepping door to meditation. Now, mindful breath is an active form of meditation that can be easily and accessible for those who are trying to do it for the first time. Meditation holds great benefits, but it does require discipline, and it requires practice, and require to focus in order to master the meditation. The breath work and meditation, they are very similar. They both require to stay focused on the tool, and the meditation will often to use the breath as one of those tools.
And it's, again, you couple all those things together, again, you're going to do a better job of preventing prolonged stress and burnout. And it's one of those things where when I talk with people that are burned out, I'll ask them, it's like, so, and do you have any breathing problems? How's your sleep? I just kind of, I'm asking them without directly asking them up front. It's like, by the way, do you meditate at all, or do you anything about mindfulness? I don't ask that right off the bat. I ask them, okay, how's this and this, and their answers will tell me right away if they're doing it or not. And then I'll say, okay, well, let's do this. Let's just to kind of relax ourselves a little bit. Can you take a deep breath for me? Okay, I'll hold it for a few seconds. Okay, release. Let's do that 2 or 3 times. Then I'll ask them, say, how do you feel? At this moment, because I want them to basically understand how they're feeling. Because time and time again, when people are fatigued, stressed, sick, whatever, they know they're not feeling well, but they don't necessarily know how they are feeling because they don't look within. They don't dig deep to figure out, okay, how am I feeling right now? How's my mood? How's my mindset? How alert am I? Do I have any weird aches or pains or anything like that? Just become more self-aware. And so many people, unfortunately, are clueless on what's going on in their own life. And they're walking around with themselves all day. So it's sad for me in a way that so many people are missing this, because once they implement some of these routines in their life, they're going to naturally start to feel better. And if they are feeling better, they're going to be better. And it can help ease, a lot of the ailments that are, tying up our emergency rooms and our doctor's offices. Where we are in Ontario, there's an election coming up, next week. And I know and I really shy away from politics, but a lot of the candidates are talking about healthcare. Well, we need more doctors. We need more doctors. In my opinion, having worked in primary care, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this because there's some people I know that still, I'm connected with. We don't need more doctors. We don't. we need more people to take better care of themselves and learn the techniques on how to do that so we don't have to strain the healthcare system where we need so many doctors. It's unfortunately people use family medicine and physicians and doctors as this quote unquote get out of jail card for bad behavior. And people, if you're not breathing well and you're not taking care of yourself, it's on you. And to expect the healthcare system to fix you is a pretty big ask, and it's putting too much strain on the healthcare system. So adding more doctors is not going to fix that issue. Taking better care of yourself, learning how to breathe right, learning how to manage your stress better, learning to eat the right foods for you. You do those things, you won't, you're going to go see a doctor for checkups. That's going to be about it. You're not going to need to go see them because you've got 3 or 4 chronic diseases because you have not been taking care of yourself. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Those are things I always wanted to say when I was working in the sector. Now that I'm not, I feel a little bit more freedom to share my viewpoints on that. But again, it's our bodies do a really good job of healing themselves if we allow them to do so. So, I'll hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, your body is a powerful tool to heal self. The more you take the time to treat it well, through the breath work, through the movements, regular checkup with your family doctor is a great way to have a strong body system as well as a strong cognitive in order for you to treat yourself well, to treat other people well as well. Um, I see that the breath work, when you start at least 1 minute a day and then increase and incremental every day, it's going to be unconsciously, you will be able to breathe without having that conscious level because you increase your self-awareness about the breath benefits in your life. And that's going to enhance the quality of your life over time.
It's important lessons for all of us. So, Anisa, I've loved this conversation. Where can people find out more about you and all this amazing work you're doing?
I have my website, which is yoganisacenter.ca, as well as I created a YouTube channel. There is a 28 days challenge. It's free to access those short videos, which is help for stress management, mindfulness, grounding. And yeah, so just visit my website, all the contact information there.
Awesome. And I'll definitely have that in the show notes. So, Anisa, thank you for being you and thank you for bringing awareness to my audience on the importance of breath work. Really appreciate your time today.
I'm very grateful for you, Michael, to have me. Thank you so much for having me.